be damned, between the fuel pressure and clocking that mass air, pretty damn dead on. Now I will say it idles lean and then it'll come back up slowly. See there? Alright. So as y'all saw, I've got the car running pretty good again. So two things that ended up seeming to be the issue. One was I clocked the mass air meter. I had this mass air meter to where the plug-in was like almost touching right there. So basically, the mass air meter was basically parallel with the floor. And what I did was I clocked it forward just about, that much there, about 1.5 inches or so. That seemed to help out the idle quality a little bit too. Not sure if that had anything to do with it. But it seemed to be the main issue with this whole thing was fuel pressure. I remember a couple weeks back when I first got this intake on. When I first put the Trick Flow intake on, I cranked the car up and it was just acting weird, So as the car was running, I sat there and looked around, and I noticed when I was sitting there idling, the fuel pressure was like, the fuel pressure gauge, I don't know if y'all can see that, right here, it was like around 25 to, 30 or so, maybe a little bit lower, 25 to 28, somewhere around there. And I thought my fuel pump was going out. So I took the pump out, the 255 liter per hour pump, took it out, put the stock pump back in, and it still did the same thing. So that kind of led me to the regulator being bad. So I came back, put the 255 pump back in, and then cranked it up, still did the same thing. So I turned the regulator, it's adjustable BVK regulator, I turned it to where the fuel pressure was reading like 39 to 40 with the vacuum line off. So ever since then, that's when the surging really started. I just didn't put two and two together that, I turned the fuel pressure up, what I think was normal or where it should be, but apparently the regulator is bad or the gauge is bad, one of the two. So what I did was I turned the fuel pressure back down to where it was, and it's perfect now. Air fuels are still good, wide open throttles around 13, 12.8, 12.7, somewhere around there, 13.0, somewhere around there at full throttle, and it's idling good, it's not really surging. So fuel pressure, man, and actually how I figured it out, I sat down and I got to thinking, after replacing almost every sensor on this thing, and it was still fighting me, and I wasn't getting any codes really. I got to thinking, I was like, what did I do different, And I got thinking back about, the fuel pressure whenever it was giving me, reading low to me, and I said, well, let me lower it back down to see what it did. So as the car was running, sitting there surging, whatever, about to cut off, I was turning the regulator, and then as I backed it back down to where it was reading, it leveled out, So that told me right there that the fuel pressure is bad. I mean, the fuel pressure regulator or the gauge is bad, one of the two. It's not the pump, because I put the other pump in, it's still doing the same thing. Now, with it sitting there idling with vacuum hooked to it, it's reading like 25 or so. I unplugged the vacuum line and it goes up to about 36. Not exactly 39 or 40. So I was like, man, maybe this gauge is just reading wrong, or something. I really don't know. I think what I'm gonna end up doing is putting the stock regulator back on it, see what happens, But right now the car is running great. No issues. So I don't know. It fought the hell out of me though. Ever since Mother's Day, this thing had a surge, and uh, I don't know. Anyways, you know, I wouldn't think something like that would cause it, but I'll be damned if that thing didn't do that. Um, it was the strangest thing ever. It even run fine for like 15 to 20 minutes, you know, cold start, be fine, everything, and then you go drive it and come back and it'll be surging and just running like crap. So yeah, fuel pressure, man. I can't believe it. Anyways, it is what it is. So now I can move on to other stuff. I need to do the axles. I've been meaning to finish wet sanding this hood because it looks like dog crap. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and finish wet sanding the hood, and then I can install the axles within the next, you know, couple days to a week. I'm just going to drive the car easy right now and make sure everything's holding up like it should, and you know, which I'm pretty sure it'll be fine. Also, I got my 75mm throttle body to quit whistling. I went in on the auto air control valve holes and smoothed the edges out, kind of rounded the edges out, and it's not whistling anymore. So that's a good thing, because that thing was aggravating the crap out of me. So every time I'd pull up to a gas pump or go see my brother or my dad, they're like, man, you got a vacuum leak. I'm like, it's not a vacuum leak. They're just bad about it. I don't know why. Well, I do know why. It's because of the edges of the auto air control holes are just, you know, they're literally 90-degree angled. So, and I was explaining to them, I guess it's kind of like taking an empty Coke bottle or whatever, or an empty bottle, and blowing across the top of it, it whistles, you know, or makes that humming sound. I guess that's the same effect that it was doing. I don't know. But anyways, I'll keep y'all updated on what's going on. Now maybe I can make a track day soon. So we shall see. All right, got another project. It's a 91 LX. It was a 4-cylinder car. There's no engine in it. All the interior's in it. It's rough. There's been squirrels in this thing, so I don't know what the wiring harness is going to be. So I'll end up putting the carburetor on this one with a 302. It's solid. Ain't really no rust on it, but it's in rough shape. The bumper just needs to be bolted back on, and tail lights. All right, she cleaned up pretty good actually. I put some bombs on the inside, closed the doors, and I pressure washed it. I didn't do the hood because the hood needs to be replaced, which I got one. The front end needs to be replaced because of this. I've got one. This thing is pretty messed up. I thought those things were fiberglass, but they're like a really hard plastic. So that's gonna be a fun job getting them bolts broke loose. But cleaned up pretty good, man. I got some tail lights for it. I ain't worried about that. I gotta hit this one more time. The car's been sitting on the edge of a wood line for apparently about 5 or 6 years. So I think the fun part about this project is going to be the harness. I'm hoping to band-aid it up as much as I can. Like I said, I'm going carburetor on this one, so there ain't gonna be no EFI shit. As long as I got headlights and windshield wipers and brake lights, I'm good, man. I'm gonna do the 1-wire ATI distributor, carburetor, probably do a mechanical fuel pump, and just run a whole new fuel line all the way to the back because this 4-cylinder fuel line is too small, and call it done. I've got some shorty headers. They're like stock style, I think, but I do need to get some new headlights, at least for that side. I'll probably just end up ordering a whole new set. Too bad that side on the bumper isn't good because this side's like pretty damn good. This car's been painted before. I think it was red looking back, unless it was just this door. I don't know, but this car was painted, and you can see on the inside the fender well, it's overspray, but it's solid. There's no rust, you know, like the car is pretty damn solid. You know, I looked on the floorboards underneath where they're known the rust, and underneath the hood where the frame rails are. You know, where the strut towers, there's no rust. I would show y'all, but I got the hood locked and I just let them bug bombs off on the inside. So it's gonna be a fun little project. I'm just gonna have to do it a little bit here and there. It was just too good of a deal to pass up. So we shall see. All right. I got my drag lights on. I got to get some more lug nuts though. I need to clean it up. I got my front bumper right here. I've got to I gotta fight and get this thing off. I'm just gonna have to cut them because the nuts are literally rusted. The whole thing spins. I'm gonna have to cut them straight down, pop it off, and try to get it on there. This side don't have any studs, so I'm gonna have to take some nuts and bolts and sandwich it together. You know, right here and right there. That's got a stud there, but it's barely hanging on. So, and then a headlight for that side. I noticed this side is holding water, so I'll probably just get some aftermarket headlights and put in there some cheap ones. And let's see if I can show you underneath the hood. Oh, hang on, let me see if I can get it. I'm gonna set the phone down. Hang on one second. Where you at? I gotcha. Sorry about that. So I've already started taking the harness out. No rust on the frame rails, or the strut towers. Oh, thunder. And I'm gonna try to get away with using those 4-cylinder fuel lines down there by the steering shaft. I'm doing a manual pump on this one. I'm not going to do the electric. I'm just going to do a manual, I believe. Just, you know, just one wire HEI distributor, manual pump, and a carburetor, and let it ride. I've got to clean this thing out. It's in the squirrels had a field day in here, so it's going to be a little while before I get it going, but a little bit here and there, you know, like all my projects, an hour here, hour there. I'll be putting the AOD in this one. How bad I want to do a T5, I just don't have another T5 around, and I already have an AOD and a 3000 stall sitting around, so I'll put it to use what I have. All right, I got the front bumper off. That was a job. I just actually ended up grabbing it, snatching the hell out of it. So that's the part of the bumper that's left. I'm gonna have to get a saw and cut them, and then take that fender lip and get it back flat. I tried to get the socket on it, but with it being bent, the socket's like, you know, wedged up inside the corner of the fender. I can't get it on the bolt, on the nut. So I'm just gonna have to cut it and then get a dolly and try to straighten that out best I can. Shoot some primer on it and let it ride. So that's the one I got. It's in pretty good shape. I already went ahead and pulled the harness out that I don't need right there. Just got to get, this is the rest of the harness here. I just got to pull it through the firewall where the computer is, you know, where the computer mounts up, and then pull that out, move all this airbox crap, and it'll literally just be throttle cable, fuel line, and windshield wiper, and headlight harness and solenoid. So and then I'm gonna have to clean out the doors are stiff. I'm gonna have to clean all this junk out. So the things we do for projects.